You're listening to Black Parents Aging, where we help you navigate caring for aging loved ones. Every Wednesday, we'll discuss how to help your parents successfully navigate this new season of life. We are going to talk about legal, health, technology, and finances. Here's your host attorneys, Olivia Smith and Nicola Robinson.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Black Parents Aging. Today, I am your host, Nicola Robinson. I hope you guys are having a marvelous day. The weather is gorgeous here in Georgia. It is quite warm, as you can imagine, because it is a typical day in the South. I went to visit a client of mine at a nursing home and rehabilitation center this week. I think it was on Tuesday. And it got me thinking about now that the world is opening up. Like this was really the first time I was able to actually go into the facility since COVID started. I have had other clients in facilities. We've had to do kind of makeshift where we talk through the window, or they brought the clients outside and we had to feet apart and I had to talk to them that way. So this was new. This was really, truly, the world is opening back up. And you see the headlines all the time. I know, talking to my sister who's in New York, she was just mentioning that their governor was like, all right, y'all free to open your doors and go back to life as normal. So that gave me the time to think, and I've been thinking about this topic for today. And I said, we are going to talk about COVID and nursing homes. Now that it's time, and now that you're able to visit your loved ones in nursing homes, what questions to ask as you are able to visit and go into the facility? So if you have a loved one that's in a nursing home, you may be hearing about ever-changing CDC and CMS guidelines, while also closely following late news reports about outbreaks and everything in facilities. So this is the episode for you. You have a family member that is actually in a facility. I know last year took almost all of us out. Like it was rough. And I mean, I remember seeing news headlines almost every day reported that nursing home residents were at high risk or a higher risk of infection and getting serious illness and even death from COVID-19. I remember, according to the AARP, I know how we feel about the AARP. They are a great source of information, but I remember seeing something from them that said COVID has killed more than 184,000 residents and staff in nursing homes and other long-term care facilities. So you talk about almost 200,000 of the deaths last year for people in nursing homes. But even though now, thank you, 2021, now we are seeing still that the risk isn't gone and the danger is not over, and particularly for people in nursing homes and facilities. COVID-19 has a 3.6% death rate for people in their 60s, an 8% death rate for those in their 70s, and a 14.8% death rate for those in their 80s or older. So the risk is still very real for our older adults. In fact, I think I saw another recent AARP headline that said COVID-19 is still killing more than 800 a month in nursing homes, with the abstract line on the article saying this is a decline in deaths since early 2021. So, a decline in deaths since 2020. So it's clear nursing homes are still really dealing with the issue of COVID. I know a lot of people are now vaccinated and think it's free to move around the country and not take necessarily the same precautions, but I think it's just very different for our family and friends that are in nursing homes. So today's talk is not really about whether or not nursing homes should be opening back up, because it's happening. That's the reality. I mean, like I said, I just stepped foot in one. And so facilities are loosening up their visitation restrictions. And that's partially because they're being required to. As the world is starting to open up, they are kind of having to fall in line with the new guidelines as well. So if your loved one is vaccinated, you can see that they're going to start taking part in activities, especially with other vaccinated residents. And probably not going to be wearing masks, and they're not going to be socially distancing anymore. They're going to be able to start participated in communal dining again with other vaccinated residents. And I don't imagine that they're going to be wearing masks or distancing in that either. So back in March, I think it was, the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services said that facilities should allow indoor visits regardless of vaccination status of the resident or the visitor. They cited widespread vaccination of residents, drops in COVID infections among residents and staff, and the toll of separation and isolation on residents and their families. There is a short list of instances where facilities can prohibit indoor visits. So for the most part, if it's not on this list, you're going to be able to go back in the facility. So according to the list, is the resident is not vaccinated, the nursing home COVID county positive rate that is higher than 10%, and the resident vaccination rate in the facility is less than 70%, or the resident has a confirmed case of COVID, then they're not going to let you in. The resident is in quarantine, so they're not going to let you in. Or there's been an outbreak in the facility, and when this occurs, visitation is temporarily suspended until outbreak test is conducted. Now, I know that one to be true because the facility that I went to this week, I was supposed to go, I think probably 2 weeks ago, and they said they reported that there was an outbreak, and so they could temporarily stop visitation. But the minute they got that under control, I was able to walk right on in. So with all this on my mind, I think really important to think about what questions should you be asking of your loved ones in the nursing homes when you do get to visit? Because every visit is another potential for exposure. If you haven't been vaccinated or your loved one hasn't been vaccinated, it's definitely something to think about whether it's even safe to go and visit. So you want to always think about keeping yourself safe and keeping your loved ones safe. If neither one of you has been vaccinated, is it appropriate to visit or is it the best time to visit? You have to make that call when nobody can really decide that for you. Because like I said, the facilities are open, so you can go. So here's some questions to kind of think about. Does the nursing home have personal protective equipment like mask, shields, gowns, and gloves that they need to stay safe and keep their patients safe? So if the staff is wearing those, if you haven't been vaccinated, then, are they able to give you those types of equipment to go into the facility? And then find out if the facility is taking place in the federal vaccination program. As you know, there was priorities, but at this point, mostly everybody that wants a vaccine is able to get a vaccine. So find out if the residents and the staff are being vaccinated, and find out if the facility is educating staff or residents about the safety and the effectiveness of the vaccine. And even do they test all the residents and how often? Find that out before you go. Because again, everybody there, employees and residents may not have been vaccinated. So we're going to need to still continue to test people to make sure that somebody hasn't already brought it into the facility. Find out, does the home notify residents and families if there's a positive test among residents or staff? That's a huge thing. If you're planning to make a trip to come visit your grandma, say you live in California, and you are looking about plane tickets because now the world is open back up, but there's been an outbreak and they're temporarily restricting or pausing visitation, they need to notify the family, they need to notify residents so you guys can plan accordingly. Find out also, does the nursing home handle COVID tests to residents to protect other residents? Like, what do? Do they quarantine that person? What is the protocol if somebody actually tests positive in the facility? And really the key is communicate it. How are they communicating that also with the other residents and with the family of the residents? Find out if the nursing home has a leave policy for their staff who show symptoms or who may have been exposed. What is the plan to replace them? The staff at the nursing home is critical, so we can't afford to just be short-staffed while somebody is out who has tested positive. So it's definitely something you want to know. Find out if the nursing home has full-time staffing levels for nurses, aides, and other workers. Like, do they have on call? Do they have other people that will be able to come in if everybody or if somebody tested positive? And then finally, I would say also find out how communal activities like exercise, socializing. I There's a group of women who love to socialize and sit in rocking chairs in front of a nursing home that's not far from our office. And they be socializing. Those ladies together having a good time. So find out how socializing and entertainment is being adapted. Like, are they doing just go back in as normal? Are they being socially distanced and safe? Or are they still doing 16? Like, just find out some information before you start going into facilities. I definitely called. I had an appointment to go and see my client, and my client was placed in a room with a large conference table, and she was placed at one end, and I was placed at another end. Now, because she speaks very softly, I knew that if she had on a mask, I wasn't going to be able to hear a thing she said. So we both were able to take off our masks and conduct business, but we were definitely the length of a conference table apart. So those were some of the precautions. They definitely took my temperature before I went into the facility. They made sure had me fill out a COVID questionnaire to find out if I had been exposed or anything like that. So find out if I had been vaccinated. So find out before you make plans to go visit your family member, what are those type protocols? Are they taking temperatures? Are they requiring that you fill out some type of questionnaire to let people know if you've been exposed or if you've had to quarantine in the last few days? Those are really, really big and trying to make sure that everybody in the facility is safe. So if you're concerned about your loved one, definitely think about our previous episode too. You know who to call. The ombudsman. Y'all remember that episode? I think it started about 2 weeks ago, but I told you about the ombudsman program that is required for all facilities. But you also can go and fill out a complaint on the dch.georgia.gov website for those of you that are in Georgia. If you are concerned that they're not taking proper measures at the facility where your loved one is staying, that's a place you can call. That's a place you can file a complaint. Their phone number, you can also give them a call. It's 800-878-6442. Again, 800-878-6442. And you can stay completely anonymous. So you just feel like the facility is not up to snuff and it's not doing the most that it can do, then, call anonymously, have somebody come out and investigate. Now, that's just for Georgia. So if you're in another state, because I know we have some listeners all over the place, you can always go to the consumervoice.org and click Get Help. And then there's an interactive map and everything, so you find your state, and then that will help you find the ombudsman program in your state. You can also call the Citizen Advocacy Group and find out what other long-term care resources are in your state. So that way, if you do have a concern, you will be armed with a bunch of different people that you can call and kind of really figure out what can be done. So if your loved one is being denied access to visitors or inappropriately quarantined, you can be an advocate. I definitely felt at one point the facility that I just visited was kind of just denying visitors because it was just easier for them as opposed to really taking the time. They were just like, oh yeah, we're not doing visitation today. And I was like, no, I'm gonna need additional information. What do you mean? And it was only after constant contact, we had to keep calling because it was important that I speak to this client, and they were saying that it was an outbreak, but they were not forthright with telling us that in the beginning, and we felt like they were just denying us access. And so, of course, I'm a lawyer, I'm an advocate, so I need to know, are you improperly quarantining? Are you just denying people? I need more information. So you can always print out the CMS and the CDC guidance and highlight the pertinent sections so that you make sure you know what is being recommended and then how that's being applied to your loved one's situation. And then ask the facility staff to explain the reason. Why are they denying you access? Why are they quarantining your family member? Because we want to be really sure that they are doing it in your loved one's best interest. And it's not just because, they're being lazy or they're just doing what's the easiest for them. So if you need to, take the next step, file a complaint, voice their concerns, get the ombudsman involved. Just be persistent. If you really feel like they're denying you access with no real justification, don't be afraid to advocate. So no, I'm not gonna take that. I'm going to call the appropriate people. And it can be frustrating. Like, don't get me wrong, but you gotta keep being an advocate for your family members because they need you. They're the ones in the facility. Sometimes being in the facility causes them to feel powerless. And so that's where you really can step in and make somebody's day because a lot of people in the facilities, they haven't had visitors in over a year. So they're lonely and they're isolated and they miss you and they want to see you. So don't let the facilities off the hook so easy. Don't let them just say, nope, no visitors. And I think that's it. On that note, I think that's all I have for y'all today. Thank you so much for joining us. I am always so grateful to everyone that tunes in. I hope that this is information that you can use. I hope it's giving you some questions to ask the facilities and to give you some things to think about. As always, you know how to reach us. We are on all social media platforms. You can always visit the Facebook group, Black Parents Aging. You can find our law firm on Instagram at SR Law GRP. That's our handle. And if you've had any experience with trying to visit family members in nursing homes during COVID or even now as things are starting to open back up and you would like to share that with me, I would love to hear from you. So please, please, please reach out. Always, this is a judgment-free zone. And so we are here to listen. We are here to help and offer any suggestions or give you any resources that you might need in order to be that advocate for your family member. So don't forget, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. If this podcast has been helpful for you, we welcome any reviews, any comments, any topics that you want to hear about. Please get in touch with us and we will be happy to get that going. All right, guys, that's it from me. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time.